All right, everybody, welcome to the Expert Interrogation Chamber. We've got Matt Davis with Life Stage Films and Video Business Coaching. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Am I in the chamber now? Like everyone can see me? We're good?
Everyone
That
can
is the
see you.
chamber. It looks all dark and dim lidded, and actually looks like a nice office.
Yeah, I
Rock and roll.
guess. I got the, yeah. Good to be here.
So I want to give a quick overview of what we've got going on today. So we've got Matt Davis on. Basically, we're going to keep this, we're trying to keep Expert Interrogations very business-oriented for everybody in the video production world. Today's call will be mainly wedding-focused. Matt is the wedding rock star, so that's where his expertise is. We've got a number of people in guest mode. If you want to interact in the chat or you want to be able to submit a question, just try to do either one of them. Submit a question is right below Chris. Once you do that, it'll ask you to log in. Just log in via Facebook or via Twitter, or you can create a Spreecast account. On top of that, we want to keep things pretty serious for the most part. We can have a little bit of fun, but overall, we want to keep it business focused. So when you get to the questions, which is the last half of the show, so the last half hour, we will do Q&A. So you'll be able to just drill Matt. We'll do rapid fire questions. So you want to get your questions queued up. You'll do that right below Chris. And this show is presented by Chris and my site, Create Insights. You can find that out by clicking my name. We'll put the link here in the chat in just a second. But that's about all I want to say about us right now. Let's get on to Matt and where he's been. As he stated beforehand, he was saying that he's been kind of gone for a while, and he was focused very much on Live Stage Films and his family. So he'll address that, but we want to get started where he started and to just a single videographer to now having 4 employees. So let's get going. So Matt, how you doing, buddy? Let's hear your story.
I'm good. You broke up there for a little bit, but I got the let's get your story, so hopefully that's where I'll pick up. I started in 2006, did not want to be a wedding videographer, got a business degree. My wife and I moved to Mexico. I had a kind of a heart for underprivileged people, kind of a heart for missions, I guess, and we went down there to work in an orphanage, and I was on the business, like the finance side of things, and that's kind of where I got connected with video stuff. When we moved back home, I was just so attached to the power of video. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a wedding videographer. This is easy, and it's not. And then when I saw what was out there, I saw that most of it sucked. And I didn't want to shake someone's hand and tell them that I was a wedding videographer. And so the beginning of our business, we tried to be different, which of course all of us should, but after a while, especially after we had Melissa got pregnant with our first kid in 2008, Penelope, after that, I was just so burned out. I was editing 55 weddings a year myself, working in my extra bedroom by myself. It was awful. It was terrible. And so I had a business coach myself, and he kind of poured into me the benefits and the principles of like why I started my business to begin with, and that's kind of how I got started on the path to running a business instead of running an expensive hobby. And from there, we hired our first employee, and now we have 4 full-time, and we have 3 teams contracted out on a wedding day, so we could book 3 weddings on one day. But that's, I don't know, we just wanted, there's just such a prolific amount of DSLR wedding filmmakers these days. It's harder and harder to stay different, to stay different and to charge what you're worth, but still have to compete with the people that just bought the brand new cameras and think that they're, wedding filmmakers. There's nothing wrong with people starting out, because I did the same thing. So you have to find a way to stand out and charge what you're worth and get them to pay it. And I get addicted to that. It's kind of fun to book those jobs, even though you're not the cheapest, because you get to get paid what you're worth, and you get to film people having fun, going to parties, laughing, drinking, hugging, having fun. Pretty cool.
Do you find it that you're at a point now where you said you're still doing about 60 to 70 weddings between your 3 teams? Do you find it that is all coming from word of mouth now, or are you still advertising pretty heavily with everything that you're doing?
Well, I think even when I started my business coaching, I started video business coaching for wedding filmmakers back in 2009, beginning of 2010. And even then, when I started doing webinars, I told people, and I hope my good friend Bruce Patterson, he was a mentor to me. I hope he's not on here right now. He owns a magazine, but magazine advertising is dead. I even back then I felt you shouldn't have to do that. It's all word of mouth now because we try to do such a good job that these people are going to be fanatics about the kind of product that we do, that we produce. And then Facebook, our fan base, kind of engaging them every day, not just once a month, but every day has helped tremendously. But no, it's word of mouth. And again, it's being different. There's some great people around us in this area. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's our local region. We book half of our weddings here in the lower southeast corner of North Carolina. But I'm also known as a destination filmmaker, and I do quite a bit myself all over the world. But I still have to compete with local people, and we have to be different. And word of mouth has been killer for that.
So you've used the word different a few times, and I think that that's phenomenal, and it's very true. We talk about that a lot. You've got to be unique. You've got to stand out, because if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're going to get the results everybody else is getting. So for you and your company, what makes you different? What is that? Let's get into that for a second if we can.
I was kind of prepared for you to ask that, but I wasn't, because you guys didn't prepare me with any kind of questions. This is literally an interrogation. Like
right.
I had no idea. So
answer the question.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
No. I spoke on this last year, honestly. Like I've always been. You have to always be ready to give an answer for why you're different from other people, because there is so much. I think we as filmmakers get very jaded because we all look at each other's work. I stopped looking at people's work actually a while ago because you get tempted to copy people. So I don't even look. I don't follow any local competitors. I don't follow any regional competitors. And so you get tempted to copy. You get tempted to get jealous. You get tempted to see what they're doing and see what they're booking. And I just didn't, there's no room for that. So to differentiate ourselves, of course, you have to analyze what your competition is doing. So at the beginning, I did see what they were doing. And all of us as filmmakers, we get jaded. We all do the slider shots. We can all use a glide cam. We all have lenses, DSLR cameras. You get it. We all kind of look the same. So one thing that I started noticing, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to, and again, I'm not ashamed to say this, and I'm not afraid to even say this, even if my friends and my competitors are on this call. You have to get emotions. You can't, people book us because I ask them point blank. And again, this is part of my sales process. When I am trying to get them to book us and not them, I say, well, what do you like about us? And they say, well, oh my gosh, like when we see your stuff, people are smiling. People are interacting authentically. So we adopted that word authentic because we don't pose anybody. We don't stage anything. We don't make them look at the camera. We don't glide cam around them and circle around them 5 times. It's not their wedding day. And so that's booked us a lot of work.
I like that, and I think that that's something that's really, a lot of people take for granted, that your differentiating factor, your uniqueness, your being different for any company is not going to come from the work. It's going to come from what you do. I mean, the work is part of it. You're saying those emotions, but there's also the aspect of what happens outside of that wedding day, what happens outside of that video itself, because you can produce great work, but if you don't produce a great experience, and I think that that's part of what you do. You want to talk to some of the experience that you provide people in the process of, working with your company?
Well, even, you mentioned experience. It's so simple, even down to the fact that we have, luckily, blessed enough to have 4 people on staff to be able to answer someone's freaking email in 10 minutes, not get back to them 3 days later, because we talk to so many brides and they're like, yeah, we looked at X, so and so, and they haven't emailed us back, and it's been a week. It's like, you got to be kidding me. They have to feel like they're the only person in the world if they're going to book your wedding, because there's so many people out there with cameras. You have to get them from the get-go. You have to let them know that they're special. People don't do that anymore.
Absolutely. What would you suggest for somebody who's in those beginning stages? And honestly, I mean, just to talk on it for a second, those guys who might be doing it part-time, who maybe they have that job, what could they do to still provide that, experience? What would you suggest to that person? If they can't answer that phone immediately, what would be something that they could do to still provide value? Because the whole point of what we want to provide with this and what we provide with Create Insights and what you provide is to help people grow in their business. And so some are in those beginning stages. Maybe they want to offer that excellent service. What could they do? What would be a suggestion from you?
Being an entrepreneur, being a solo artist, when all of us, and again, I'm preaching to the choir here because I started this way. You start your business because you think you're the man. You think you're awesome. You think you got this thing down pat. You know how to use a video camera. But I got to tell people, when you start your business, because I did the same thing. When I started my business, I said to myself, okay, I think I know how to use a video camera. I'm going to do this, and I'm pretty good at it. But the trap I think that most of us get into is we think that when we have a website or a blog or a Twitter feed or whatever, and we think we put out good work, that it's like Field of Dreams. Like, you put out good work and then they're all going to come. That's not the case. They have to have a relationship with you. And so my best advice to people that are just starting out, or even people that are really good, like, I don't claim to be the best. I know I'm pretty well known in the wedding film industry. I'm not the best with a video camera. I'm the best at connecting with people, and I will be cocky about that, because that's how I'm able to put food on the table for my family. But I'm not the best. I'm really good at telling stories, but man, there's so many of my mentors that are so much better at camera work than I am. But you know what? That doesn't mean that they're going to bring in the money. You have to have connection with people. So if you're by yourself, if you're working in that basement or that whatever, your extra bedroom by yourself, and the phone rings or you get an email, stop what you're doing and pay attention to them is my best advice, because they have a list of people they're looking at, and you have to stand out. It's not about the work.
Even as simple as I remember a buddy of mine right now. I remember when I first called him, he had great work on his website, and I called the only phone number. I wanted to go to lunch with this local guy. I called the only phone number he had on his site, and this was literally the message. That's what I heard. I mean, it was, I won't say what it said, but basically I could barely understand it. It was like one sentence, and it wasn't his business name. It was his personal name, and literally it changed like a week later, because or probably that day, because I was like, dude, really? Like, that's what you have as your voicemail? And it's as simple as that, but people even take that for granted, your first impression, because they love what they see on your site, and then they call you, and maybe you aren't available. Maybe you aren't able to answer the phone every time, but then you've got to have that voicemail, just that first, impression, be something that's like welcoming, and people don't even do that sometimes. But I want to talk to you about your employees and how you're managing that team, and at what point you said you hired the one employee, but now you have 3 more. So what did that look like for you, and how was that? How are you able to take them on? I know some people do lines of credit. Some people just have enough business. What did that look like for you, and what can you encourage people on the process to take to be able to, take on more people, more weddings, all that? So.
It's a great question. One of the things that my business coach, back when I first started my business, and infused into me, is that if I am going, because I remember the conversation. He asked me, what do you want to do with this business? What do you plan on doing with it in 10 years? You gonna have kids? You gonna do this? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have kids. I want to be able to go on, go to Disney World whenever I want. He's like, well, you're at the beck and call of your employee, of your clients. What if they book a wedding on the weekend that you want to go on a vacation? And so from the beginning, I was instilled, even before I had employees, that you have to find people. And this is the hardest thing for us artists, because hopefully, I don't know how many people are listening right now, but hopefully we're all considered artists. You hopefully have enough confidence in yourself to call yourself an artist, and that's what we all are. And you have a hard time delegating and giving other people responsibilities for your own craft. And so the biggest thing I could tell people is when I first started building my business, I looked for people, and it's kind of hurts to say this, but I'm fine with it because I'm proud of my team. You have to find people better than you. You have to find people that can edit and have a passion for editing. My best employee is Kara. Like, she is terrified to hold a camera. She can do it, but she doesn't want to do it. But man, when you get her in front of a camera, in front of a computer, I mean, and edit, and you leave her alone, she puts her headphones on, she can edit better than anyone I've ever met. And that's not something that I can do. And honestly, it frees me up to be able to run the business. And same with Amy, our other filmmaker, Amy. She's a female. And she came on our team 5 years ago now. And I told people, I was like, you know, I'm the owner. I'm Matt, owner of Lifestage Films. But I was like, you might want to book Amy because she can get things that I can't get as a male. Like, she just knows how to see things through a camera as a female, as a bride, as a wife, as a mother. And I'm proud to tell people that because there's things that I can't do. So
do
I
you
wasn't
find
rambling too long there.
when you're booking people, are they, because we talked to Ryan who's on here, and he had a process where he wasn't really telling necessarily what team member you were going to get till, you know, a month or two before the wedding. What's your process up front when booking somebody? Are they knowing who they're going to get, or are you delegating out, you know, who that's going to be after the fact? So they book Lifestage Films, then they'll get their filmmakers later. What's that process look like?
Great question. Really great question. I've gone back and forth with that process because anytime you grow a business, anytime you bring people on, there's going to be, it's almost like working out. Like, you've got to work out and you've got to rip these muscles, and your editing has to get a little poor. Your filmmaking kind of goes down a little bit because it's not all you doing everything, if that makes any sense. But you're ripping it out, you're ripping it up to build it back stronger. And I noticed when I first started having teams and having employees that I wanted to be like, oh, you're getting Lifestage Films. It's the same all across the board. But people, again, going back to what I said a minute ago, people want relationships. People want connections, and they need to know who's going to be at their wedding. And I've got local competitors. I've got regional competitors here in the Carolinas that are a one-stop shop. You know, they're a husband and wife team or a one-man band, whatever. And they can say, oh, I'm going to be the one at your wedding. Well, you know what? We've learned over the years, we've got to create relationships with Amy and with Chris and with Kara and with people that are on our team so that they know them and they trust them just as much as they would me. And so when I talk to people, I talk to everyone as a salesperson because I like to, as the owner, know who's coming through the system. I like to, I tell people it's like speed dating. You know, they have to talk to me on the phone or in person. We don't just, please don't do things over email. Like, this is kind of, I could talk for an hour about this. Don't send prices over email and don't just give them everything they need. You have to have a connection. It's like speed dating. And I tell them, you know, who the best fit might be for them. And once they book Lifestage, I then create I have a private page that has Amy's full films for all of her work, referrals, you know, contact information of people that Amy's worked with for brides and grooms. Same with Chris. Same with me. And so they can make an educated decision. And at the end of the whole conversation, the whole process, I can be confident and say that, you know, when you get Lifestage, you do get Lifestage. It's going to be hard to kind of judge the difference in quality. And I know Dave Williams. I don't know if a lot of people know. Dave Williams is a huge mentor to me when I first started Cinema Cake up in Philadelphia. But he doesn't guarantee anybody. You get Cinema Cake. But for me, I wanted people to know who was going to be at their wedding, and that sells. It really does work, and it boosts confidence in the person that you're booking, like Amy or Chris or myself, when someone picks you to be at their wedding. Anyway.
Absolutely, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we're going to take just a 2-second, well, maybe 30-second break here for just a second to get anybody who may be in guest mode if you want to interact in the chat or you want to be able to submit a question, because here in about 10 minutes we're going to start doing Q&A with Matt, and you'll be able to ask him business questions. We want to keep it very business related, not tech. This isn't a tech show. This is a business show. But if you want to interact, you just log in via Facebook or Twitter when you try to do it. So when you submit a question and you're not logged in, you'll be asked to do that. You can either Facebook, Twitter, or if you don't want to use either one of those, just use Spreecast and log in. And yeah, so in about 10 minutes, guys, we'll get to the Q&A. Just got a few more questions. And again, this show is presented by CreateInsights.com. So rock and roll, guys, and here we go. So I've got, what came first? Was it the revenues or the employees? And what was the process, again, for deciding to hire, and how much risk was involved when you did that originally? Because I know that I have an employee here, and, you know, I took out a line of credit to do it originally. You know, it was, I had different people that were able to help me out, and I was just at that breaking point where, man, I either had to do that or I was probably going to get out of it all together. And so that was my decision, and I doubled the following year. So, I mean, I know your thing earlier when you said how important it is to delegate and find people smarter than you. That's a Richard Branson thing. I mean, I love Richard Branson, and he's always all about finding people smarter than him. But what is that process? Because I know a lot of people are worried, man, well, people are talking about getting employees and all this, but, you know, I barely make enough money to, you know, take care of myself. How would I ever get anybody? How could I start that process? So
this literally is an interrogation. I was not prepared for that question. However, I have an answer for it because I lived it. Like, and I guess I'll be totally honest here. I'm not sure if I've said this in my past webinars or presentations at conferences or not, but 2009 was probably my worst year in business. I was terrified. I had hired a full-time studio manager because my wife got pregnant. We had a kid, Penelope, and so I was shooting and editing full-time still, and she was still shooting with me. In 2009, I mean, that was kind of, if I can give a little history lesson here, 2008 was kind of like when the market crashed, that winter time. We ate ramen noodles. Like, I'm not ashamed to say it, only because I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I was able to kind of get past that, but man, that was hard. And we had a full-time employee. I'm saying all this because we had a full-time employee that we had to pay first. So we paid her first, paid ourselves second, only because it's still, you know, you become family, but also she does so much work for you. You don't want to, you end up, you know, learning that you can't afford to do that same work and still get out weddings, edit them, and shoot them at the same time. After that, after we learned that our pricing was so low, like we were just trying to compete. And this is, again, I say this on my webinars. I say this whenever I talk to people about pricing. I say it because I lived it. I based my pricing on my local market based on what I thought everyone else was charging and what, well, if they're charging X, I need to charge around the same amount, or maybe I'm a little bit better, so I'll charge a couple $100 more. But it didn't work because my worth was different. You know, it took me longer or shorter. You know, you have to figure out how long it takes you to edit these things. And so I didn't have it all together that first year. And it's only because I learned the hard way, kind of the school of hard knocks, that I was able to tell other people, hey, warning, don't go this way. This is what I did. And I've been able to, I mean, it feels good to tell people that now because they've been able to avoid that. But you asked me a question, and it was like, you know, what came first, the revenues or the employees? And you have to trust other people. You have to bring other people on to take the load off of your back. And then I tell people this, like once you start taking care of other people, like once you have employees, I've got 4 people in the room right behind me editing. I'm not sure if they're listening now or not. Hopefully they're editing. But if they were to peek their heads in, like I have to take, when I do the sales, I know that I have to pay my own mortgage. I have to pay the taxes for this company, for this business. You'll find the money. Once you have those things in place, once you know you have X amount of, things you have to pay out, checks you have to write, you'll find the money to do it. It's the fear of thinking, well, I have to do everything myself. Or, you know, if it's going to get done right, let me do it myself. Or I can't afford to pay anyone. You're just going to get stuck. You're going to get burned out in 3 years. And that's the problem with our industry is there's so much turnover. There's so many people that get burned out and that then produce poor customer service, even if they know how to use a video camera. It's terrible.
Well, just a couple more questions here. So you've been through all that hard times, and now you have the 4 employees. Are things, I mean, you've been able to raise your rates, you've been able to do all that. I mean, how are things now? You know, how are things for the whole system you've got in place? Is it rocking and rolling? Are you feeling pretty good about everything? Are there still those tough times? I mean, I know that we all have them no matter what. But how's that all looking for you right now?
To give people some kind of word of encouragement, I don't have to show up to work. I honestly don't have to come into work every day. I do it because I have other things in the fire. I have a photo booth company now that I've started because once you build, it's when you become an entrepreneur, when you learn how to like have fun and learn how to build a business and not just a hobby that makes you money on the weekends, that gets you to buy fun gear. Like, it's not about that. It's about impacting people in the most efficient way possible so that they rave about you and tell other people about you, and it's just a snowball effect. And so, to be honest, Life Stage Films, I don't have to come to work. I don't have to show up. I can do the sales from my house if I want to, but I had to learn a new skill set. I had to learn how to manage people. I had to learn how to be a leader and be an example to my team. Because if I didn't show up, I mean, what kind of person would I be if I was like, all right, I got my team in place, I'm going to go on the beach, because I live at the beach. I live right on the coast. My 10 minutes away is the beach. I could go to the beach every day if I wanted to, but if I did that, what kind of example would that be? And what kind of product would we still be putting out? And so I'm here to lead my team. But on top of that, I show up because I have other, by creating a good business, I'm able to create other good businesses. And I honestly learned the hard way a couple years ago, probably in 2010, which is kind of why I took time off last year. It's kind of a personal comment here, but you know, I traveled a lot. I got to speak in Australia, in New York, in San Francisco, in LA, in Chicago, in New Jersey, and I was all over. I was never with my family though, and I kind of soaked it all in. I kind of took advantage of that because I was creating another business. I have another business. It's coaching. It's business coaching, and I'm pretty good at it. Hopefully, you know, people can hopefully attest to that. But I forgot my family, and that's why I took time off last year to kind of refocus on. All right, you got all these irons in the fire, but the most important thing, the reason I created all this, is to provide for my family. And so it was a really big gut check for me, and it was hard to kind of take a step back.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Well, Chris, do you have anything before we, everybody, we want to have you start feeding in your questions. We've got about 11 in the queue right now. So if you've got your business-related questions for Matt, and we're going to kind of do a rapid-fire thing here for the next half hour. Again, anybody in guest mode, if you want to submit a question, you want to get in the chat, just log in via Facebook, Twitter, or a Spreecast account, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. So let's do this. Anything, Chris, that you want to ask him before we go? Or let's get on the questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, I love the fact, Matt, that you said the word entrepreneur probably 50 times since you've been on the call, and I think that as video producers, most of us, especially when we're getting going, we don't even understand what that word means, and really what it means is building systems and processes, and I mean, I pretty much drive my company, but I have processes set in place that I'm rarely ever at the office too, and so it's kind of cool to know that there's shoots that I kind of decide within a few days, do I want to do it, do I not, and that's okay because I'm not setting the expectation, but it's literally the company can grow or it can shrink, and people don't have to get laid off. It's a cool thing, and it's great to see what you've done to build your company. And I love that your whole approach is just trying to tell folks, look, you can't do it all yourself, because we all tried, all three of us right here tried to do it ourselves, and you get so far and you might start making really good money, but then your lifestyle absolutely sucks, and you haven't seen your wife in a couple weeks, and your kids, basically you get home just in time to kiss them goodnight, and that's certainly not what life's all about, man. So it's cool to see that you've kind of got your hands around that, and it's certainly been an inspiration not only to me to watch you over the years, even online, but I'm sure for everybody that's on the call too.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, man.
I learned the hard way. I mean, everything I've done in business, it has not come easy, and especially when your business does grow. Yeah, I guess kind of the other side effect of my business model is people can book Matt Davis, and you get this package, and I can hop on a plane, and I can go to your wedding, wherever it's in Italy or Costa Rica or Australia or wherever it is. But I didn't really include my family in that decision before. And now we get to book it. I get to pick the weddings that I do that. And I say, you know what? I'm free that month, that weekend. I'm going to charge X amount. You know what? If they're going to book me, I'm going to build in this amount of time for my family to come with me. If they want to pay that, great. And if not, that's fine too. And then when they do book it, you get to have your family with you and then pay for that kind of lifestyle. It's very rewarding.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, rock and roll. Let's get at some rapid fire questions here, guys. Get your questions in. Again, keep them business related, not tech. We're going to actually, the first couple times we let it go, we're going to keep it all business all the time. So here we go, guys. Rock and roll. Chris, cue up the questions.
All right, I got you. This first question is from Francisco. He asks, what should I do when a hotel asks for money to be part of the vendors list?
Oh, you mean like the pay-to-play schemes, like the Hawthorne magazine? Gosh, don't just run away from it. You know, you need to tell them in a nice way. I've never had to do that. You know, if your work speaks for itself, I guess if I were to send an email out, I wish I could. I might be able to look. It's been a while, probably a year or two since I've had to send this kind of email out, but you need to let that hotel know that if they're allowing poor vendors to pay to be part of their preferred vendor list, then they're doing their brides and grooms and families a disservice, and that you're not going to stop. You're going to let everyone know that. Don't ever do that. It's not worth it. It may seem like a good idea, but it's not. Simple as that. I don't know of anyone that has been successful, being duped by those companies that pay to play. So.
Cool. All right, Cody saying, how do you leverage interns for your business?
Hey, Cody. Good to see you, man. Great question. Very good question. Interns are the lifeblood of life stage films. Now, let me explain this. I coach a lot of people. I do coaching calls myself, videobusinesscoaching.com. I have tons of webinars that I've done over the years that are available for download, but on top of that, people can call me and set up one-on-one consultation times, and one of the things that they ask me is like, well, how do you, I'm in a small town. I don't have the same resources you do. I'm not as well known as Life Stage Films. And the first thing that I say is I remind people, all right, Matt Davis, owner of Life Stage Films, lives in Wilmington, North Carolina. Our population is about 100,000 people. So for anyone that lives in a big city, you have no excuse. We have schools here that we can get interns at. We have a connection with the film and communication studies department heads to have interns. And we've had such a good relationship over the last couple of years that it's just like clockwork. Every semester, they send us the people that they think are the best fit for us because we have a good relationship with them. So every semester, we have new interns. And those interns do the rough cuts. They make the DVD cases. They package the DVDs. They make the USB drives and ship them out. You get it? Like the things that anyone can do. We created systems. We have a PDF. We have video tutorials that we've made. There's an app called ScreenFlow. I mean, it's easy. You could record your whole screen, and we have all these things on our server where when we get a new intern coming in, they learn from us. They get to shadow us. Once a week, we get to teach them new things on color correction, things like that. They get to learn. On top of that, they're doing the things that we have learned we don't have time to do anymore. We need to give them that stuff so we can better the business and do the things that are more creative. So.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer.
All right, so Sonu saying, how do you hire a crew member? How do you manage your crew? How much do you pay them? Do you give them raises? So you can do like a range with the pay, man, because I know it's not cool to just be throwing out numbers.
Yeah, that's a tough question. How do you hire a crew member?
Maybe
Okay,
like just
Shane.
your process for figuring out, who's going to be a good fit. Maybe that's kind of what they're asking.
The best way to answer this, shameless plug here, on my coaching site, videobusinesscoaching.com, there's a webinar you can download, like a whole kit. Basically, it's called the 4-hour hiring process. It's how to build a great team. You'll see it on the resources page. But to get that in a nutshell, we have like a group hiring process where the worst thing you can do for your business is to put an ad out on Craigslist or Facebook or your blog or whatever, and then have to individually interview people for an hour each time, and you don't know whether they're a good fit. You don't know whether they're an idiot or not. You're wasting your time. Well, we create this way where they can call in on a voicemail. We filter out their responses online. It's like, again, it's kind of like another form of speed dating. We figure out who they are. If they call in and say, yeah, I'm interested in the editing position. I'm a college kid. I'm just looking for some beer money. I would love this opportunity. We know we're just going to delete that. And then we know from the person that calls and says, like, I've been following your blog for years. Like, I really want to, I know that I can provide, the same kind of skill set that you guys do. They make the next cut. And then we have a group interview process. So that's the way we hire people in a nutshell. Interview process, and we filter out 3 people that we like, bring them in. And that's kind of how we figure out people. Now, to be honest, for editors and for filmmakers, we adopted the same kind of system that Dave Williams, again, my buddy Dave Williams up in Philadelphia, he has a great, I think you can even look at it online. I'm not sure where, again, I wasn't prepared for this question, but he has a great system where he hires editors and he makes them compete based on their skill set. So Dave Williams, Cinemacade.
Well, and
Cool.
Matt, if you're cool with it, above and beyond below this, guys, if you're on expertinterrogations.com, there's a place to put in your email. I'd love to get with Matt afterwards and chat about a few things where we can send you a couple cool bonuses and some stuff to his information and a few things that he's been talking about. So you can put your email in above or below, and we'll get with Matt and send you over some special stuff that can link up to everything he's got going on with video business coaching, if that's cool with you.
I know I didn't answer that whole question the whole way. How do you pay them? Do you give them raises? Yes, I pay them. Yes, I give them raises. The shooters are contract based on the people. I separate the full-time editors. They get salary, of course. They get hourly. They get paid on their work, but the shooters are contract based. Amy, my main filmmaker, is subcontracted, and then she does get raises. There's incentive. There's things that she has to nail every year, and then she does get raises because I do raise my price based on, because I don't want to lose her. I guess before we go on to the next question, I think that the thing that I've been able to leverage the most is keeping good people. You have to pay them well. You have to pay them what they're worth. And thus, that means you have to have the cojones to charge what you're worth if you're going to pay your people what they're worth. Otherwise, you're going to have a revolving door of people that come and go from your business, and you're going to drive yourself crazy.
So if you could give just if you were going to hire somebody that maybe was, brand new to the industry, but, showed that they had some talent, they had some sense to them, what would maybe that entry level price, salary be or whatever? And then the same thing on the top end, somebody that's maybe been with you, a long time. And again, a range is fine. I mean, we don't want to tell anybody's, salary. But, I think because that's just what he's asking follow-up. I guess he's just trying to figure out, what should you pay an employee, to get that kind of support.
Well, I don't know where he lives. We live in the South. The standard of living is different from Long Island or San Francisco. However, we have 2 new second shooters coming on this year. They're really talented guys, but they start out at $300 a wedding. That's still better than anyone else around could pay them, because I don't want them to have to feel like they could go somewhere else to get that. And then when they start proving that they can handle the stress of a wedding day, because we all know, I don't know how many people on here are wedding filmmakers, you have to nail it the first time. And we're going to have a filmmakers workshop, which actually I'm going to film, kind of a teaser here. We have a whole team that we're going to be getting together on March 3rd, and we're going to be filming the whole workshop. We have different stations on jib, on glide cam, on histograms, and custom white balancing inside the camera, like audio settings. Like we work as a team together. I'm going to actually have it filmed this time, and we're going to create like an online video you can download for people that are interested in how you train teams and how you better yourself as a filmmaker. So that's how we give people raises. They have to prove themselves.
The guys that you pay $300 a wedding for, are they are they using all of your gear? Are they bring in their own gear? How do you work that?
It's all my own gear. I don't have to worry about, again, I am charging enough to where I want to keep my gear under Life Stage Films. I'm hiring my subcontractors for their talent. I'm not making them buy thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gear. I've got the insurance under me. It's under a blanket. All the gear is under me. And so it just makes things easier. And so, again, yeah, they're not having to have they're not having to struggle to figure out, well, that's only $300 a wedding. I've got all this gear. Like, that's not how we do things. I have all the gear.
Cool. All right, Aaron Thomas. What's up, Aaron? Says, hey, Matt, was your business coach a video guy or gal or in another industry altogether?
Great question, Aaron. My business coach, when I first started, was in a totally unrelated industry. And honestly, the reason I was able to create my own business coaching business, consulting, business, is because I got to a point with him that he really didn't know my struggles as a video producer, as an editor, as a filmmaker. And I kind of plateaued with him. But what was created was like a monster. It's almost like the Hulk of like his business knowledge, because he had created like 12 businesses on his own. I had never done that. So I learned his business skills, and then I was able to infuse my creative skills. And then I got to a certain point where he wasn't able to tell me, how to move that point on, and so I kind of moved on from that. It was totally unrelated. And I think that's a good thing. Now, the reason I'm hired as
Hold on. Technical difficulty.
Am I here?
Oh, there you are.
I can hear you guys.
Yeah, you're back. Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Oh, where should I start? Sorry, I didn't know that.
You started right where it was fine that it was unrelated, and then you went on from there.
Yeah, okay. It was fine that it was unrelated at first, but you kind of get to a plateau where, he doesn't know kind of the struggles that I'm going through as a video producer. And that's kind of why I created my own thing, because there's a very specific niche that I cater to. When people contact me for video business coaching, it's because I've been there as a video business entrepreneur. So.
Awesome.
All right, Cody with another question.
How did he get another question here? People, come on, ask some questions here.
I think you kind of already dealt with this, but let's see. What are you paying your team leads and second shooters for local weddings? Where do you start the rate for new shooters?
Yeah, I think we already answered that. Why don't we, just to make room for people that might have more questions, let's maybe move along.
Sounds good.
Hopefully, I think I already answered that.
Let's see. Sonu has got another question. He says, how do you choose an accountant?
Real quick,
taxes.
Following the call, you'll also have replays available, guys. So this call will be immediately available afterwards. We'll also have a download of audio available within the next 24 to 48 hours. And thirdly, there'll be a transcript of all the questions that were asked during the call, so you can go right to that question in the replay of the call. And that'll say transcript right below the call. So just want to let everybody know that.
How do I choose an accountant for my taxes? Referral? I don't know. I mean, I didn't choose like a person that had used a video producer before. I just a local person that. And again, the great thing about my local community here in Wilmington is I know a ton of other business owners unrelated to my business, and that's how I get local referrals. You know, my accountant, my CPA. Who do I use for graphic design or business cards or things like that, or insurance or things like that? That has to do with my local business owner community. And if you're not connected with people in your town that are business owners, you should be, because you can learn a ton from people even if they're not in your industry. So.
Hey guys, just again, reminder, use the submit question button if you want to submit a question as opposed to putting it into the chat, just because we're doing kind of a first come, first serve thing. So if you guys are popping in, do it through that submit question feature, and we'll get you queued up here as soon as we can. All right, let's see. They must have got in early, man. All right. If a bride inquires and leaves her phone number and email, what have you found to be the best tactic? Calling first or email first, or a 1-2 punch of auto email first, then follow up ASAP with a phone call letting them know you're available?
Great question. Real quick answer. We have an auto email that goes out just to let them know that we hear them, we see them, we're congratulating them, but I never call them back immediately, and this may ruffle some feathers. I've heard myself, you know, a lead is hot when they email you. You know, the best thing to do is call them up immediately. I disagree with that, because I would rather them email me and then me email them back and say, because I use ShootQ. I'm a accredited ShootQ person. I have all my templates on ShootQ's site, all my workflows, my emails, and email is huge. There's a way to word your emails which gets them excited not to go to your competition. But in my email, I say, listen, if you're going to be a good fit for us, we'd like to chat with you for about 15 or 20 minutes. Even better is coming to our studio, but if you can't do that, because a lot of our brides are from, this is like a destination area, so probably 80% of my brides don't even live here. And so we don't have the luxury of meeting them in our studio. But I tell them, listen, if you're going to be a good fit, if you're going to want to invite us to your wedding, we need to talk to you. And so number one, that filters out the people that are just looking for prices. If they don't want to talk to me, then I don't want to talk to them. Like, it's really not, if they don't want to take the time to get to know us, it was never going to be a good fit to begin with. So the great thing about ShootQ, and I don't know, I have no experience with any other CRM, you know, online software, things like Tave or Salesforce, or I'm not sure what else is out there, but I do know in ShootQ, you can set an appointment. And the reason we do that is if someone sets an appointment, that means they're serious. Just like when I set an appointment for my dentist, I'm going to show up. And so I tell the people that, you know, when someone inquires and you immediately call them back and you get a voicemail, you're just going to perpetuate that voicemail cycle of playing phone tag. When we set up appointments, they get serious about it, and then they schedule a time on next Tuesday at 2:30. I'm going to chat with you. And then we have time, unadulterated attention, and we can book a job because we're ready to talk to each other.
Awesome. All right. So we've got like 14 more minutes, 22 questions. So let's keep this thing rolling.
I'll try to be short.
Jamal,
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, no, you're fine, man. You're fine. So Jamal Hayes is saying, tell me about basically when you have a client that doesn't like the edit. How do you go about those kind of situations after the fact?
I mean, dang, I could talk about that for an hour. We had a client recently. I mean, a client that was not very nice. It's in our contract. You know, number one, you can have something in your contract all you want. Of course, you should have something in your contract that states we don't re-edit. If you want to re-edit, if you want to have something outside of the fact of errors or DVD skips or things like that, it's going to be X amount per hour. But if you have to if you have to email them back and say, well, in our contract it says this, then you've already pissed them off. So we try to make people happy, of course. If they say, we love this video, we really love the way you did this, here's our list of things that we'd like changed. and then they give us 20 or 30 things, obviously we've got a miscommunication here, and we've got to talk to them and be like, listen, I think you have a misunderstanding of what you actually purchased. We created a piece of art for you. We made this, and if you're going to have these things edited, it's going to, you know, we have to start from scratch here. But for small things, if someone says, I don't know why you guys put that shot of this girl in there. That was my bridesmaid ex-boyfriend. Can you please take that out? Okay, it takes 5 minutes to do that. We do that without even thinking about it. But when people push us around and they don't respect us, we kind of let people know in a friendly way that that's not the best way to get their film edited, because we want to help them, but if they're going to be jerks to us, we've already lost them anyway. So when people are nice to us, you know, we take care of them too, and most people do. Again, 99% of our clients. To kind of side answer this question, like we have a thing that we send out. It's called our What to Expect document. You can purchase this on my coaching site, but it's also in ShootQ in one of my email templates. But it's our contract in layman's terms in a funny way, because most people don't read contracts. So it's our way of saying, listen, we don't really usually edit these films over again, so you're getting a piece of art. Deal with it in a friendly way. You know, they love it, they laugh about it, they email us back and say, these are great tips, thank you. And it kind of nips everything in the bud.
Perfect, perfect. Keep rocking and rolling. Doing great, Matt. Thank you guys so much for all being on the call. I hope you're all finding this very useful.
Okay, so I'm Lafe, maybe? Leif? I hope I'm not mispronouncing that, buddy. I have one employee, and I value communication with my team, but it feels kind of awkward to have a staff meeting with just me and her. Do you have any advice on how to communicate in a professional manner to just one or two people? Starbucks, man.
I've been there. I have been there and done that. Our first studio manager, Jamie, it was just me and her for a while, and then we got an intern. But it becomes less awkward when you make schedules, when you know that on every Monday at 11 o'clock you have a team meeting and you go over your goals that you're going to get accomplished for that week. If you randomly schedule things like that, then yeah, it's kind of awkward because they're like, why are we having a meeting right now? We don't normally do this. But when you know it's expected every Monday of, hey, what are you going to get done this week? I don't know your female employee's name, but when you have that schedule, it's not awkward. You become to, and again, you're paying this person to get these goals done. When we have meetings, right now we have meetings, and there's 5 of us, you know, in this meeting. Every Monday we have goals. We have meetings. We have, I'm not sure if they're listening to me right now or not, but we have these, at the beginning of our meetings, we have these things we call whiffling. It's called whiffling, W-I-F-L-E. What I feel like expressing is the acronym. They make fun of me because I do this, but at the beginning of the meeting, it's like, hey, what do you feel like expressing? You got beef with me? Or are you hungover? Or are you feeling like you're burned out? Like, it's our way of kind of getting everything off the table so that there's like, it keeps things from snowballing. As a team, we have to be cohesive. And if there's things that we're keeping from each other, it ruins the experience of creating a perfect experience for our families. And that's one thing that I keep at the beginning of our meetings that I've done for years. And they can make fun of me all they want, but it really does create a family. Even if it's 2 people, it kind of breaks the ice a little bit and allows you to kind of get things done.
All right. Mr. Coral's asking, what's the next year look like for you?
Ryan Coral. Who's that guy? Isn't he based in Wisconsin? I forget, what is it? Epic something? Epic Motion?
Epic Motion.
I think I heard him in my, yeah. Ryan's a good friend of mine. Good question, Ryan. The next year for me, to be honest, looks like I have got a couple irons in the fire. Lifestage Films is running on all cylinders. I've got people in place that do a better job at it than I do. So when it comes to taking care of our clients, to filming weddings, the majority of that work is already being done by my full-time employees. So it's allowed me to create another business. I have a photo booth business called Soapbox. It's pretty cool, actually. We're going to be able to sell it to other filmmakers and photographers. It's a compact photo booth that does video too. Everyone's seen these like photo. It's a fad. I hope it's a fad that's going to stick around for a while, but people love it. We have a photo video booth, and the software and the branding of it allows you to put this booth in the back of your Honda Civic, and someone can set it up in 20 minutes, and it's just extra money. So I've been dealing with that with a local. I share that. It's a partnership with a local DJ friend of mine. So we're killing it with that. Very successful locally, but we're looking to kind of expand it to filmmakers all over the country. On top of that, I'm doing webinars. So I've got 4. My plan is to not get burned out with coaching. I'm going to do 4 webinars every season, like every quarter. And I've got a product that kind of goes with that has improved my business. And then of course I do one-on-one consulting when people call in or email me. But on top of that, I have a very tight-knit, very private workshop planned for filmmakers that are married to their spouses, that do business with their spouses. It's called a Voyage, and we put it on the back burner last year because I needed to, because I had too many irons in the fire. But we're pretty excited to launch that this year, and we've got something planned for September. VoyageRetreat.com, I think is what it is.
Rock and rolling, guys.
And then I'm spending time with my girls. That's my plan, is to be more local. I put a cap, 2011, 2012, I got very cocky. Again, I'm saying this because I don't want people to repeat my same mistakes. I booked weddings all over the place, and I got to travel and see very cool places. But I never saw my family. And so I have a cap on my destination weddings, and I jacked up my price significantly. And I cannot tell you guys how liberating it is to be able to say, I'm going to do 4 destination weddings this year, and I'm going to charge X amount. And if they book me, great. And if they don't, great. But when they do, great. My goodness, it just feels awesome. Yeah, yep. Great.
When they do, great. So. Well, I want to say we've got just a little bit of time left. We want to do a couple more little rapid-fire things, but guys, if you're on expertinterrogations.com, there's an email sign up below and above the video, and basically we're going to get with Matt, and we're going to make sure that we send you some of these different links and some maybe little special bonuses for you guys from some of the things he talked about today, so that you can make sure that you keep in touch with everything that Matt has going on. And then we'll also notify you of future experts. This Thursday, we got James Wedmore, YouTube marketing guy. But I want to get a few more questions in here real quick. Let's keep them real quick here, Matt, to like 60 seconds or less. We want to try to crank through
sound bites. Sound bites, buddy.
Okay, all right. Here we go. I promise.
I want to communicate vision to my employee, but also don't want them to come across as promises that I feel pressure to live up to. Does that make sense? How do you communicate vision to your team?
You have to have a mission statement. You have to have a vision. You have to have goals for 3 months. You have to have goals for 1 year. And you have to have goals for 5 years. And you have to constantly communicate that. You have to constantly put that on your wall right next to your computer, so they walk into your office, they see your vision, so it becomes their vision. You have to have things. We have a thing called a 90-day plan, and that's what we do. You can learn about that. I have the whole template on my coaching site. But we do that every 90 days. You can check my fan page, my life stage page. We publicize that stuff because people love that. Our brides love to know that we actually care to plan ahead. Who would have thought, you know?
Cool. All right, this is from Lee. Story is so important. What are some ways along the way to the wedding do you get to know your couples?
Lee, good to hear from you, man. I feel like I know you already from being online, but I'm looking forward to shaking your hand. Questionnaires. You know, we ask very important questions before the wedding leads up. And I learned this one specifically. I cannot take credit for this. One thing that's changed us is a question, the still motion. Hopefully you guys somehow got on their tour. They went all over the world. But what do you guys do on Sundays? It's something that has changed the way that we ask couples, like who they are. We ask them what their favorite movie is, what their favorite guilty pleasure is. And those kind of questions, those kind of open-ended questions, allow us to know their personality. But we ask them on this questionnaire, what are some things that you think we may miss that are important to you on your wedding day? Or we ask this question, you know, you say you put this DVD in on your first year anniversary. what would make it worth it? What do you want to see on this thing? And then let them answer. It's very open-ended because you want to let them be honest. And those answers allow you to be able to show up on that wedding day that you haven't filmed yet and know what is important to them.
Hey guys, I'm putting it in the chat because I know not everybody reads the chat. Here's a link that I have, and this is actually a bunch of tutorials that we compiled off of Stillmotion's Vimeo account that they all had there public. And so we put those in a list for you guys to easily access each and every one of the tutorials that they've loaded up to their Vimeo account. So that should be helpful for you guys to look at. I just put that link in the chat. Scribe, Tech Link tutorials. Hey Matt, do you have, how much more time do you have? We're trying to rapid fire. There's freaking 17 questions in the queue. I don't want to go much, longer over the hour, but we'll make sure we respect your time.
I'm going to dinner at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, so that's an hour and a half away from now.
All right.
All right, cool. So next question, Jeremiah says, do you take the lower paying jobs to put food on the table when you need to, or do you stick to your rates for wedding and commercial as to not devalue your brand?
Good question, Jeremiah. Good buddy of mine from North Carolina. Yes and no. We don't discount, but when I'm training my team, there's a different price point. For instance, we have a few weddings that we did this wintertime where they were almost like learning experiences for us. Not that we were just, because I was there, but it was they knew ahead of time, like, hey, you can get this rate. We're going to be training this person, because like I said, we have new second shooters on our team. Hey, you can book this. You can get our life stage quality. I'm going to be there, but you can get it for this amount. It's not discounting because they're not still getting the same product. But in terms of corporate stuff, no, I don't lower my rates because there's always businesses need video to tell their story, to tell their brand. And that's one thing. I don't do commercials. We're going to be launching a corporate brand this year. We've been working on it for 2 years. But we don't take on local commercials because I just don't have the passion for it. I do not have the heart to be like, okay, you need a 30-second commercial to sell the fact that you're the best at this. Like, I don't have the passion for it. I like telling stories in an amount of like a 3 or 4 minute web video that they can show that shows their personality and identity on their website or in their foyer in their kiosk at their place of business. So hopefully I answered that question. I don't know.
All right, Tyson says, you said that you always want to talk to your clients over the phone. How do you keep all the details that you discuss straight if you just talk over the phone?
Okay. I like talking on the phone because that's the option I have. Again, most of my clients don't live here. So a lot of our brides that come down to North Carolina for a beach wedding live up in New Jersey or New York, or their parents have a beach house at Bald Head Island or Figurehead Island. It's their second home. They spent their childhood here. So we have to talk on the phone. So I have a notepad. Where is my notepad? It's always next to my computer. It's got doodles all over it, but then once I do that, I write it down, and then in Shoot Queue, you're able to write yourself a note. So I write down notes. As soon as I get off the phone with a bride, I put a note. It's like a journal into Shoot Queue. It says, I'm very honest with myself because I'm the only one that's going to read this. I'll say, bride was very friendly, although she seemed disinterested. Said that she found us on Google. Probably not a good fit. I say so that I'll remember it. I asked them the specific questions. Okay, she said there's going to be 50 people there. Okay, iPod as a DJ. Okay, I know it's not going to be a good fit. But I'll also write down notes that say, okay, this person says they're having a 600-person wedding. She was a bridesmaid in my last wedding that I did last fall. They're having a band from Atlanta. By writing those notes, I know that when I follow up, and Shoot Queue reminds me to follow up in a week, it's going to be a good fit. And I'll tell myself, okay, I had a good vibe with this person. I'm writing myself a note.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, Steve is saying, when you went from one wedding at a time to 2 at a time, did you rent the second set of gear or did you buy?
Bought. I didn't start renting until Lens Pro to Go, until we started needing like specific lenses. But when we had second team starting in 2008, I bought it. I had XH-A1s, Canon XH-A1s.
Perfect.
All right, Lindsay is asking, can you share how you got so busy so early in your business? You said 55 weddings.
Lindsay, I did not charge what I was worth. I charged average, had a very good product. There's so many people, I can name them off the top of my head, that I can see them in the same life cycle as my business was 5 years ago. I see them now. People in Raleigh, people in Charlotte, people in Wilmington, people in Charleston. That's my region. I can see their product, their storytelling, their camera work is great. They're just not charging what they're worth. So of course, people are they're going to book them. And then the downside is now you've got to edit 60 weddings. Good luck. And then the customer service falters, and then they don't get to spend time with their family. They don't get to go on vacations. So I don't feel so bad anymore. But
Matt, sorry, go ahead, buddy.
I was done. That's how we were able to book. It's just, yeah.
I was going to do a quick follow-up to that saying, I mean, we talk a lot in our coaching program about sort of, what a good percentage is for how many leads you get versus what you close. And that's how you kind of know, that you're charging enough. And so what's kind of your thoughts on that? I mean, how do you know, what's your closing percentage that you feel like, we're at a good price?
20%. We don't put prices on our site. People give me grief for that. You can debate that online all day. People are like, oh, I don't want to talk to people on the phone. I'm just going to put my prices on my site. That way it weeds people out, weeds the good people out. But my answer to that is you can put prices on your site, but how is that bride supposed to know what a video should cost? They've never done this before. And so I want to get a relationship first. And so I am perfectly fine with having to talk with 10 people that are not a good fit, because I can convert 2 of them that said that we were not in their budget, and then they end up spending money on our big package. 8 people are duds. That's fine. But my product that I'm going to be launching, it's my sales flowchart for event filmmakers. I wish I had a logo for it and everything. I'm so excited about it. It's a flowchart. I have this thing in front of me every month so that I know. The thing is with us filmmakers is we don't gauge these things. We don't know, okay, if my goal is to be 20% conversion rate and I'm at 13% this month, what can I do to change that? Well, then my flowchart, I have little tick marks that you do. It's like a journal, and you change it every month. And so if I have a 40% conversion rate, I know that I need to jack up my prices. If I have a 13% conversion rate, I know that I can see where I'm losing people, and I change my game. People do the same thing. The problem with our industry is you get comfortable thinking that you can talk to the same bride the same way for 5 years. Things change every month. You have to learn how to adapt. So
great
20%
answer,
for us.
Thank you.
So.
All right, Matt saying, what's your relationship with photographers? If you haven't worked with them before, do you reach out prior to the wedding?
What's up, Matt? Yes, I do. If we have not worked with them, we give them a call the week before, let them know that we're not the typical cheesy, obtrusive, cocky videographer, and that we want to work with them. We let them know that we don't want our heads in their pictures, and we let them know that the bride doesn't want the back of their head in the video. And it's a good icebreaker. And it's just being respectful. Yeah, when we see that we haven't worked with somebody before and we check them out, they're trying to make a living too. We don't want to get in their way, and we need to be a team. So yeah, we reach out. Some people don't. Some people are a little bit too cocky to say like, well, it doesn't matter. They can do what they want. They're on their own. We're on their own. I disagree. I think that you need to let your ego down and contact these photographers so that you can work well with them, because then the referrals come too. It's a win-win.
Perfect.
All right, so Provide Films asks, what are some of the cheapest advertising methods you've used? And I'm going to say cheap but effective. I'll add to it.
I may be giving away something here, but I don't care, because you guys need to know that this works for us. My competitors might be on here taking some notes, but you know what? I'll adapt to that. One thing that's worked for us is we work with the same coordinators and the same designers all the time. Once we get good, once they learn that we're good and that we take care of their clients, we create these DVDs. We have our DVD packaging is with jewelboxing.com. We've done that for years. There's Lokta out there. There's lots of options. USB drives, things like that. But anyway, we create these DVDs custom tailored to this coordinator or this designer with the top 3 or 4 weddings that we have done with them. And then we make 10 copies, hand deliver them to their studio so that when they have brides that come in, they get to hand this DVD, even if this bride's not interested in videography, they get to hand this DVD out to their potential clients and say, hey, if you want to learn more about what our weddings look like, watch these videos. And by the way, these are our friends at Life Stage Films. Been the best money we've spent because it makes them look good and it makes us look good.
All about relationships.
So, yeah.
Awesome, man. I want
All
to
right, so
open on this call. People really appreciate it. And the big thing is, too, guys, as we all know, I mean, we've said it a lot. People are followers. So if there's competitors, there's typically going to be the people that just follow, and you'll always be ahead. So, I mean, that's what I truly believe. And then there's the people, 1 out of 100 guys will innovate and do better than you. And then you're kind of in that thing. But if you work together, you can even do that much more. So.
And I'm joking, of course, when I say, like, I might not, like, that's kind of I'm insinuating the fact that there's no need for me or anyone to hold your cards too close to your chest. I've got text messages right now from 2 of my regional competitors, and they're friends of mine, good friends of mine. Just they're on, listening, and so you have to have those kind of relationships because that way you can refer each other. And I spoke at In Focus in Charleston, 2012, and one of my big things that I mentioned is you need to stay friends with your competitors because you can help each other out. But the moment that you guys start copying each other or undercutting or not differentiating yourselves, you're hurting both people. You're hurting each other. It's a lose-lose. So the more you're able to differentiate yourself, the more you're able to refer people and go out to dinner with your local competitors and not have to feel threatened. Like there's no use for having that in your business.
Yeah, Schweitzer Film, Joe Schweitzer was on here last week, and he's 20 minutes away from me. And when I reached out to them, because a lot of my couples were asking or saying things about them, I was like, I got to meet these guys. I meet them within 2 weeks. They sent me a referral that at the point in time I was at back in like 2008, I booked my first $4,000 wedding because of them, because of that lead, because they were actually more expensive than me at the time. And so when they sent me that lead, it was a no-brainer when I asked, told them I had this $4,000 package and talked through that. So it's been very beneficial for me to build relationships with my local competition because really I get a whole bunch of leads all the time that are coming from that. We all can only do so many weddings, and there's thousands of weddings to do. And so if you're all working together, it's only a win-win. But like you said, you don't want to be undercutting or copying, and that's a lose-lose. So just got a few more left, Matt, and we'll finish this up for you, buddy. There's like 8 left. We can rock through these, and then
all
we'll
right.
get stuck. So.
Yeah.
Bill Grant saying, if you find a bride that you know is not a good fit, how do you let them go without ruffling feathers on their end?
What's up, Bill? Bill's a good friend of mine too, South Carolina. If I'm on the phone with them, I'll insinuate, if I know that it's just their budget's not going to work, again, as long as you're asking, I have a sales script. That's available online, of course. I have a sales flow that a way that I get to know people and get to hear about their wedding first before I ask them or talk about prices. So once I hear that and I hear about why they're excited about us, if they've seen our work, what their wedding's going to be like, if I know that they're not a good fit, I of course don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Me and Melissa, my wife, got married on a $3,000 budget. A friend of ours videotaped it. He cried the entire time, sniffing into the camera. It was awful. Didn't have a good video camera. But I just tell people, I give them a range, and I say, Bill, I'll tell this bride, well, you know what? It sounds to me like, of course, the fact that you're paying for this yourself, and you've already spent your money, it sounds to me like when you said that you've already allotted your budget to the flowers and the photographer, instead of me getting hostile, because of course we all want to get hostile, what do you mean? You spent your budget on, of course I can't do that. So say, it sounds to me like, you don't have much budget left to spend, and in all honesty, we might not be the best fit. And I'll tell them that. I'll say, we might not be the best fit because a lot of our clients do have, their parents that are able to contribute. And again, I can come from experience and tell this bride, listen, I paid for my wedding myself too. I know how you feel. I don't want you to, I tell them, I honestly don't want you to spend 80% of your budget on this video. It's probably not a good idea. And they appreciate that. Then I give them referrals. I don't mind talking to people that most would consider a waste of time, because no one's a waste of time. They just don't know. They've never done this before. And we might not be the best fit for everybody. And I want to help them find someone that is. And that doesn't mean referring them to a bad videographer. But when I do refer them to people that might be cheaper, 15% of them come back, again, because I'm measuring. I know how many people come back. And 50% come back and say, listen, I realize that I did not budget well enough for a good video. We want to make this work. What can we do to make this work? And we'll create a payment plan, or we won't discount, but they see the difference once they start seeing that they allotted poorly to their budget for a good video.
All right. Chris is saying, hey guys, how do you go about creating your packages and pricing them accordingly?
We don't have packages. We have, you can pick your filmmaker. All of our films include up to 9 hours on the wedding day. We start whenever they like. 9 hours, we tell them, is typical for a good amount of time for us to capture their story. We don't deal with people that say, well, can you film for 5 hours? Or can you film for 6 hours? We tell people, listen, we're not able to tell the things that you've seen on our site that you've already fallen in love with. Your wedding day starts with you guys getting ready, and it stays, and it ends with you guys having a party with your band and your exit with your getaway car. So all of our films include 9 hours, and then they build on. Again, we have this in Shoot Queue. They can build on. This is how we make extra money. Honestly, this is how we've survived. Honestly, we haven't seen a downturn in the economy. It's been a bad economy for, what, 6 years now, 5 years? I don't know how long it is. But we've been able to create a package, and then if they want the highlights, our highlights films, these little 3 to 5 minute videos that everyone does, come on, they're our most popular thing. But you know what? That's what they fall in love with. If they want it, they can pay for it, because not everyone wants one. So it's extra money for us, and so it's not important to everybody. If it is important, they need to purchase it. Same thing for Blu-ray or rehearsal dinner coverage or our photo booth or what else? Extra hours, things like that. They can add it on. They can build it in.
All right. Is your business a sole proprietorship or corporation?
We are an S Corp. No, we're an LLC, taxed as an S Corp. And that's all I can tell you. I don't know anything else about it. My accountant does all that stuff.
Good answer.
Okay, let's see. Sorry, my question is, aside from networking, what channel have you received your leads from? Website, social media, trade shows, direct mail, email campaign, or other? Do you have a funny anecdote of the type of inquiries? I can't see the rest of. Oh, the type of inquiries you've received.
SEO, Google rankings. We invested a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of homework, a lot of effort into making sure people find us when they think about it, guys. People are researching us online. A lot of our stuff is referral based, but the stuff that isn't, they're going to be typing in something in Google. You need to be the first one that pops up. And there's things you can do. I'm not an SEO expert. That's not what I do for coaching, but I learned how to do it. I could tell someone how to do it. I don't have time now to do it. I could talk for all day about that, because you have to make sure you're positioned to, when they type in your specific keywords in your region, that you are able to be found. And that's been our best avenue, outside of Facebook, of course. Engaging people on your fan page is your next best thing. I mean, you can't just put your work out there. You can't just say, hey everyone, really love this highlights film, you guys should watch it, enjoy. You have to have a reason for people to watch your stuff, And you have to have engaging conversations outside of just showing your work. You have to have a community, a tribe. Seth Godin, I learned that from him. You have to have people. You can't just show your work off. So.
2 left, 4 left.
All right. Follow up. Do you use programs like ViewBix or embedded links to promote your work site on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, etc.?
Vimeo, yeah. We embed. We don't make everything public on our Vimeo page just because my business model is quality and quantity because I have 3 teams, of course, so it's not just me. So I don't want to put every video we make on Vimeo because it would drive people crazy that are following us. I mean, they don't want to see that every time. So we do embed stuff on our blogs, and then we take that Vimeo embed code and put it on our fan page. We tell people, we put that link out there on our fan page, and then we direct them to the blog to tell them to learn more about this couple's story and the vendors involved and things like that.
Perfect.
All right. Mike Cornett, what is your favorite non-standard marketing technique that gets you the most attention?
Non-standard. I don't know what that means, but same-day edits. We do those, and people, it's like crack cocaine when they see it. They're like, I got to have more. Like the bridesmaids, like come up to us, and even before they're engaged, they book us right there. It's just people are just blown away by being able to edit something like that, and it's not fun editing a same-day edit. Hopefully Kara's listening right now. Kara's our main editor for that now. But showing it is so rewarding, and we get jobs at the end of every wedding.
Perfect.
All right. So Cody, almost there, man. One more after this. Cody's asking, how long do your sales calls usually last?
Cody, my sales calls last about 20 to 25 minutes, and the trick is to tell them that when you email them to set up the appointment, when you first start the conversation. You guys can learn about this on my coaching site. Like I have a sales script, and I'm updating this now. There's things that I wrote on the sales script a couple years ago that I don't do anymore because I've learned and I've adapted. But one thing that will never change is telling people what to expect when you start a meeting. So when a bride calls you or you call them and they understand that you're only going to be on the phone with them for 20 to 25 minutes, all of a sudden their guard is let down. All of a sudden they know that you're not out to get them, that you're not going to trap them in a corner for the next 2 hours. And so we keep it short because we value their time. And so there's an art to getting the information from a bride and groom that you need in a matter of 20 minutes. And that means shutting up. That means letting them talk and learning about them.
Perfect.
All right. Last question from Jared. Have you ever heard of the book Wedding Video for Profit? And if so, would you recommend it? Is that Hal Landon's book?
I don't think so. Wedding Video for Profit. Is it new? I don't know. Wedding video, a book. I don't know. I'm not sure that a book would
I know that
probably be outdated in about a month. I don't know. Things change so fast in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I bought that book back in like 2000, and it was very helpful then. I don't know how much it's been updated. I'm sure it's been updated. It's still for sale. I mean,
2000,
sure.
The year 2000.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I'm assuming there's been many, updates. I hope so. If not, it's absolutely not worth buying. But it's good. It was great content then, and I'm sure Hal's the guy that owns videouniversity.com. So it was a good product then, but I can't vouch for it now.
I don't know. When I first started out, my resources, my mentors of knowing how to film a wedding, like where to stand, John Goolsby, Steve Moses, let's see, Dave Williams, GlideCam, Glenn Elliott, Chris Watson. Those were my guys that I learned how to shoot weddings from because they had DVDs and DVDs, and Joshua Smith, I think. I missed that guy. Where'd he go? I guess he's busy doing his Lopta stuff. But all those guys were mentors to me, and I'm not ashamed to say it because like you have to learn from somewhere, and those guys paved the way for a lot of us. So.
Well, we had
all right, man. That's it.
And So got a few things to say here. John Goolsby actually was on a couple weeks ago, so you can check out the replay on the archives page, which is where all the previous expert interrogations are. We want to give Matt a huge thank you here for being on the call today and giving us an extra time to get through everybody's questions. We hope you all found that super helpful. Matt, do you have anything else you want to plug? We're going to put your links up here. We want to make sure that everybody stays in touch with the upcoming experts, and then also we're going to send some links out from Matt that we talked about today. If you guys will fill in the expert interrogations email list there, we'll get you guys hooked up. But Matt, you got some plugs here. We want to make sure that we link up your sites again here in the chat, and then we're going to give a few things for us here at the very end, and that's it.
I don't have anything specific to plug. If people have specific questions for me, one thing I've never stopped doing is I probably about twice or 3 times a month I'll have one-on-one sales calls, coaching calls with video business owners, and I'll chat with them for a couple hours on specific things that they're struggling with in their business. But if I were to be excited about one thing, I would tell people to go to my site, and I don't know if you want me to type this in now, or videobusinesscoaching.com. I think you guys have been doing that. But if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll be the first to know. I'm going to be doing a webinar in about a month, and I'm going to walk everyone through my sales flowchart. And this is something that I've never talked about. I've talked about sales scripts. I've talked about price objections, things like that. But I've created this flowchart that allows you to it's like a journal every month that allows you to book the top-end packages and weed through all these people that talk about price. I'm excited about it, so sign up for that newsletter and you'll get on that webinar. I'm going to show you guys how to make your own and walk you through the whole process for free. So.
Perfect. Well, Matt's links are on the site, LifeStage Films and videobusinesscoaching.com. Be sure to get on the expert interrogation email list. We'll keep you notified of all upcoming experts. This Thursday, we've got James Wedmore from Video Traffic Academy. He'll be talking YouTube strategy for marketing your videos. And I'm also going to link up here and put on the screen. Matt, I'll just let you go here now. I'll probably give you a buzz afterwards to talk about a few things. So we appreciate you being on the call, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. You guys are doing a good thing.
Thank you, buddy. So we've just got a few things here. I've just put some links up on the site. This is brought to you guys by CreateInsights.com. You can like us on Facebook and like us on or follow us on Twitter. Matt's very focused on the wedding side of things for business coaching. You definitely need to check out Matt and what he's got going on at videobusinesscoaching.com. He's your man in the wedding world and in business coaching for that. What Chris and I have going on, we appreciate you all being on the call, is CreateInsights.com. And we're much more focused on a wedding guy going corporate or corporate training. We do a weekly coaching call every Wednesday, and you can go over to the coaching tab and you can sign up for a free trial. Every Wednesday we do something like this on Spreecast. You can get your questions in. If you can't make the call, you can actually just submit us an email. Our awesome assistant Keith is on the call right now, and you can send her an email, info@CreateInsights, and she'll queue the question up. We'll answer it on the call, and then she'll email you back the exact time code of where that question was answered. And a little thing about this page too, guys, the expert interrogations page, which I'll link up again here. What's really cool, guys, if you guys go to the archives page, you're going to see Ryan Coral, John Goolsby, Joe Schweitzer. Soon Matt Davis's will be on there too. Below each of those previous calls, they all last about an hour, a little over. Below the call, you can hit transcript. You're going to see every question that was asked during that call. You'll be able to go to that exact point in the call. That's thanks to our awesome assistant, Keith. We talked about a lot about service on the call today. We're huge about service and helping you guys and making sure that you get taken care of. There'll also be an audio download available below the call. And then if you want to find more about each of the experts, just hit about their name, and that's a drop down on the page too. So I think that's all I have. Chris, if you want to add anything, we really thank you all for being on the call today. We're really passionate about helping you guys grow your video production companies. We think there's a huge hole in that part of our industry. There's a lot of tech, but too many guys doing great videos, but can't run the business side. So Chris?
Well, I was just saying that's the key, and I'm sure Matt would agree. I mean, the day that I decided to stop worrying so much about tech, I mean, literally stop reading the industry trade mags, and I started reading about business and business models and marketing and sales, and I started getting, mentors from outside the industry. We all have an opportunity to interview people, that are very successful in their companies. When the camera's not rolling or you're, tearing down afterward, see if there's an opportunity for you to meet with them. I mean, that's kind of just a great way to learn business, because the thing that's so cool is once you start to make sense of how to run a successful business, it makes this craft so much more fun. It makes the art so much more fun because you're getting paid what you're worth, and you have the opportunity to spend more time with your family. I mean, Matt was talking about how big of a deal that is for him. The name of my company is 6 Strong Media, and the reason it's that is because there's 6 in my family. And I want to make sure that no matter what I'm doing with my company, everything is directed back towards how does this impact my family. So I need to generate more revenue, but also generate more time. And so we do a lot of that in our coaching program, the Insider Coaching Program. So definitely go to our website, createinsights.com, check it out, and let us know if you have any questions. And there is a free trial if you guys just want to give it a test run for 30 days to see what it's all about.
No credit card required. So rock and roll, guys.
Yeah, no credit card, man.
Thank you so much. And we hope to see you guys on Thursday's call with James Wedmore. And we'll talk to you later. Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Rock and roll.